This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, if you would like to be a guest on the PR Podcast, we would love to hear from you. The tagline to the show is how the news gets made, but more broadly, it's how we can better communicate with the audiences that we want to reach. And every audience is different for every client. Doing client work for as long as I have, we know that everybody starts out thinking they need to be in the New York Times, but eventually we get them to the point where they're talking to the audiences that they want to talk to and using the platforms and the media outlets that are best suited for that job. So we've talked to SEO experts, we've talked to videographers and photographers about storytelling through visual means. We talk with social media experts, but we always focus on communication. So if you want to be a guest on the show, send us either a DM through any of the social platforms, or better yet, just drop me an email, jody@jodyfisherpr.com. Give us an idea of what you want to talk about, right? Now, we don't want to, get a lesson about how to write a press release. We all know how to write press releases. We want to hear your unique take on what you do and how you do it. Have you pushed the boundary on something? Have you discovered something new? Do you have an original take on something under that umbrella of communications and how we do it better? So like I said, drop a line, jody@jodyfisherpr.com, and we'll see if we can get you on an upcoming episode. Now on with our show for today. What a great guest we have. Karin Venegas is Vice President of Arts and Culture at Anat in New York City, where she leads the firm's mission-driven work amplifying nonprofits in the cultural sector. Karin brings deep roots in storytelling, arts education, and public relations, having spent over a decade shaping strategy for nonprofits, crafting narratives that forge impact and visibility for arts institutions across the country. Prior to Anat, she worked in-house leading communications at the arts education nonprofit Exploring the Arts, which was founded by the singing and performance legend Tony Bennett and his wife, Susan. Karin, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, you got we can't just drive by Tony Bennett there, right? Tell us about that.
No. It was a career highlight for sure. I had the extraordinary opportunity to work at the nonprofit he founded in New York City that ultimately expanded to Los Angeles, ensuring that public schools had strong arts programs during the school day for all city kids. And I did a lot of fundraising with his nonprofit and a lot of communications. I launched our newsletter, the social media pages. I coordinated with his publicist on a lot of press opportunities. And it was just an extraordinary journey with Tony. Yeah.
You were telling me he even came to your wedding?
He did come to my wedding. He didn't sing, but I was too nervous to ask him. It was just such an honor to have him there. And my husband is a musician, so I can proudly boast we had extraordinary music at the wedding, and he had a great time.
Fantastic. I love that. That sounds great. All right. So then let's talk about your work in the nonprofit sector. I do my fair share of work with nonprofits as well. I think we all agree they are essential organizations in our society, in our world. They do things that are unique to them that few other organizations and certainly government can't do. But they also have extraordinary challenges, right? And I like to say they need to make every dollar dance like it's 100. But tell me about your work with nonprofits, let's talk about the type of nonprofits you work with too. So you're focusing on arts, right?
Yes. So the firm that I work at, Anat, is a public relations and full service communications firm. So we actually have multiple practice areas at our firm. We work exclusively with nonprofits, but our practice areas include nonprofits in social services, in the health sector, education and youth development, advocacy, community and business development, and arts and culture. So I lead our arts and culture practice, and my clients range from nonprofit museums to regional theater companies to presenting venues and arts education providers.
Why are nonprofits so important to our world? What give us your take on that?
Um, Well, as you mentioned earlier, they are mission driven. They exist for the sole purpose of delivering programs and services that meet a need in the community at whatever scale, right? And only nonprofits, I think, could stretch a dollar like no other. I mean, they are resource strapped, but they are full of brilliant, passionate, caring individuals who are just deeply committed to the mission and go above and beyond every day to deliver their work. So it's a real pleasure and privilege to be on their team.
So when you're working with a nonprofit client in the sector that you work in, what are some of the things that you hear from them about the challenges that they have, and how they look to you to help them meet those challenges and overcome those obstacles?
So when I think about the arts and culture nonprofits I work with, a huge challenge they are facing is audience. It's not that folks don't want to hear live music, don't love the theater, but audience behaviors have changed and they had been changing over the decades, but COVID was a real whammy, right? All of these museums and theater companies had to close their doors for however much time, and we all had to stay home and started streaming, and kind of all sorts of ways that we spend our time, the way we gather, the way we consume entertainment and culture really changed. And coming out of COVID, it was a slower recovery for a lot of these institutions that need to get crowds of people in the door. So there were a number of years during and in the aftermath of COVID where that was the challenge, right? And there's some after effects of that today. And then, of course, funding for the arts, defunding of the arts. Um, they are, a lot of these institutions are down on grant funding and revenue that they used to count on in previous years. But that's not to say they are not also beloved and popular and kind of presenting incredible work. So a big challenge in my role as their comms person, team, publicist is to make sure, like you were saying in your intro, how to get their content, their work in front of the right audiences and increasingly new audiences that they are not used to serving or who do not yet know of them yet, because they really need to bring up that younger generation of patrons.
Overcoming that best kept secret obstacle, right?
Yes, and I have used that subject line many times when pitching travel writers and reporters. Yeah, yeah, discover the best kept secret or experience New York like a real New Yorker and come see some of these extraordinary gems in the outer boroughs. Yeah.
It's funny. I used to consider that nails on a chalkboard, right? With the best kept secret. And here I am, the PR guy over here, sweating, telling this story to as many people as possible. Like, what do you mean you haven't heard of it?
Yeah, yeah, especially in a city like New York where my company is headquartered and where I live. There's just an embarrassment of riches in terms of like extraordinary artists and performers and institutions doing great work. But increasingly, I've been working with organizations outside of New York as well, and so I'm discovering a lot of great gems, elsewhere around the country.
It's great. And now I've changed my tune on best kept secret because now I look at it as an opportunity to tell a story to somebody who hasn't heard it yet. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
fine. Come on over here, sit down.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So let's talk about the work that we do now, the press strategies, the communication strategies, the outreach strategies. How do we build engagement with audiences that haven't heard of our best kept secret? How do you go about it with the clients?
So, what I find a lot, whether I'm working with a museum or a theater company or kind of any manner of arts and culture institution, is they often look to me to promote their event, whether it's a one time concert or an exhibition opening or a sort of new play that'll be in performance across the season. They want kind of straightforward promotion and press on the show because they want to drive ticket sales. And a lot of my work over the years has been convincing them that, yes, we can do the press release. Yes, we can just do a straightforward pitching of this show. But let's do some more storytelling because there are a lot of different ways we can tell the story of your work, your institution, your people, why this show, why now, that can really get us into a range of outlets, working with different kinds of reporters and in front of new audiences. And there are kind of a million angles to dive into there and tactics to be explored. And so a lot of my strategic work is really getting my clients to think beyond event promotion, even though, yes, the goal is to get butts and seats for this show. We want to keep you front of mind year round, and have you be thought of as a destination, as a must experience place, as a dynamic institution worth returning to, and maybe as more than just your shows, right? I work with my clients on thought leadership in their sector, which is something oftentimes they're not thinking about. So yeah, I'm happy to give some examples to make this a little less abstract. I mean, I'm thinking about, I had a museum client that was going to be opening a new, a historic museum, a museum that deals in history, that was going to be opening a new exhibition on a pretty painful chapter of history dealing with genocide. And this exhibition was going to be designed for a young audience of children, including upper elementary school age children, who are not typically taught this subject matter and this chapter of history until they're older. But they were designing it uniquely for a younger audience, and it sounded like it was going to be brilliant. And I got a New York Times story almost a year ahead of the exhibition's opening because we found a way to tell a story about why the institution was interested in engaging young people in this topic and how it was going about its approach. And that was fascinating to me as I was learning about it with my client. And I knew this would be fascinating to a reporter and a reader, to think about, should we? Why should we? Right? Why engage kids in this topic? What's the right way to do it? Who are the experts that are guiding the institution in this? And it was a beautiful piece in the Times. And because it was sort of a planning of story, it was a behind the scenes story, they were able to use that piece also to raise funding for the completion of the exhibition.
There you go.
That was
There's
a
the jump to the
storytelling
ROI.
approach. Yeah. So I look for ways like that with my clients to find stories because it's more interesting than just this is happening or this is opening.
All right, now let's drill down on that
Mhm.
concept of the client lets you know a year out from when the exhibition is going to open to the public.
Mhm.
Most
Mhm.
clients, like you were saying previously, would not think about talking to their PR person
Mhm.
until the event was, oh, it's 30 days out or whatever,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And because they're stuck in event promotion psychology
Mhm.
or right. And,
Mhm.
and so they came to you. That gave you the opportunity to sort of get ahead of it, like you just described, and say, hey, maybe we can do it this way. Now, was that your idea? Was it their idea? How did that concept bubble up into, hey, we can do a process story here a year in advance?
That's a great question. I think they came to us to let us know they were really excited about this exhibition they were planning, but they were kind of still trying to raise the money for it. And they weren't, they were in fundraising mode and they were just kind of FYI, we get institutional updates from them. What do you have going on? What's on the horizon? Because we try to give ourselves enough lead time to have these ideas and to know what's coming up. And I think, if I can remember, it was brought up more in the context of, we're really in this big fundraising campaign for this new exhibition we're really excited about. And my team recognized, well, the right press piece will give some buzz and some excitement that maybe you can leverage for your fundraising, right? Some donor is either going to see it, right, in the Times and want to be part of it, or it gives you that reason to reach out to some of the folks and foundations you're cultivating and say, hey, don't know if you saw it, but that proposal we have in front of you, this exhibition was just kind of written about in the Times. It's a great piece. Take a look. And it gives it that third party, right, credibility that makes a donor think, all right, so they're not just selling me on it. Like the New York Times really thinks this is going to be something special.
And that takes communication,
Yes.
right? That takes
Yes.
somebody raising their hand and saying this thing is coming. And then it takes someone else to go, hey, we don't have to wait until it happens. We can do something with this now. And you can start to get creative like you did.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I think what you're getting at is kind of the best comms strategy involves a lot of people beyond the comms team and is really most effective when the development team is talking with the education department, is talking with the marketing department, right? When we're all kind of in communication, that's when you can really coordinate some smart strategies.
As long as comms has a seat at the table, right?
Yes, early enough. Yes, yes, yes. And we
Yeah.
know that doesn't always happen, which is why I think your underlying point. Yeah.
It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are the last people to know.
Often. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Often. But it can be a real missed opportunity, just like we laid out there.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah. Oh, well, I was just trying to think if I could kind of surface another example. Well, there was a performance venue I was working with that they present multicultural international artists. There's a really rich immigrant community in New York City, so they really try to kind of showcase all of the different cultures and traditions that make up the communities of our city. And they happen to be presenting a Venezuelan singer and instrumentalist, and they wanted me to do some event promotion. And this was a couple of years ago, and it just so happened that this concert was performing at the same time that New York was experiencing, waves of migrant arrivals from the southern border and a lot of new Venezuelans and refugees in the city. It was certainly the news of the day every day that whole year, right? But none of it was about music or concerts, right? There were headlines about, can New York City absorb and support this sort of wave of asylum seekers? What is the burden on schools or the opening of shelters, right? The news was really focused on the systems and immigration policy. But here I have this venue that happens to be presenting, a one-time concert with a Venezuelan artist. And I thought, you know what? She's not a household name, talented though she is. But one way maybe I can just get some excitement and interest about covering her and this event is pegging it to the news. And so just sort of my own kind of back end outreach to various kind of media outlets and folks who cover, arts in the city was like, look, everyone is thinking about, we have these new Venezuelan asylum seekers in our city, new neighbors, kids in our children's classrooms. This is a great opportunity to sort of showcase a bit about Venezuelan culture and, like learn a bit about your new neighbors, come sort of learn about this rich culture. And it just excited some music reporters to say, you know what, I'm going to pick this event this week to recommend, right? It just gave them a reason to say, sure, let's do this concert. I found context that was relevant. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it really helps to sort of think beyond event promotion to what is the news of the day? What might make this interesting? What might make this relevant and resonant now?
But that's a key component of the conversations that we have with our clients, right? Is to make their story relevant beyond what I sometimes refer to as the four walls of their organization. It's important to you. Why is it important to other people? Because that's what's going to make it important to a media outlet,
right,
servicing an audience, because it's all about the media outlet's audience. The story you just told there, though, takes you're taking a little bit of a risk there, right? That was a super politically charged kind of an avenue to go down. but you went down it. I mean, I'm all for it, but you went down it, right? It takes
Yes.
a bit of courage on the part of the PR person, you,
Yeah.
and the client to say, okay, we're good with that. Let's run with that. How did you do that?
Because, so yes, it was a very politically charged topic and issue, but my approach was less about that. The actual pitch and the framing wasn't political. It was just, look, it's the news of the day. We have this growing community of new arrivals in our city. Everyone's talking about it with different opinions, certainly, and perspectives. And, but, there's, New York is full of immigrants, but actually Venezuelan immigrants to New York and to the United States is a relatively new phenomenon. It is not a community that has kind of set up roots here kind of years ago. They're really quite recent arrivals. And so I was like, this just might be a nice chance to sort of like showcase some of the culture. It wasn't really political. And by the way, with that pitch, I landed a 30-minute public radio, New York City public radio story on WNYC that talked not at all about the politics or the controversies or the issue. It was just a great interview with this artist, promotion of the upcoming concert. They played some of her music. So that wasn't even the story, but it gave the editors and the producers and the reporters who were thinking about, which show to promote, which gig to mention, which artist to interview this week, a reason for, I want to do this one. This feels like good timing. It was more just context for them, and it worked.
I'm glad that it worked. It's a great story. I'm glad you told it, because I think it's so illustrative of the creative way that we need to think as communicators and PR people is not just like you said, here's the calendar listing. Hope you can
Yeah.
put it in your rundown this week. It's
Yeah.
it's how you elevate something to feature level coverage, which is really what our clients come to us for, right? They can
Yep.
send out a calendar listing or put it on a website or something. How do they get that 30 minutes on WNYC, which, by
That's
the
right.
way, is also the audience that's probably motivated to go to that show, right?
Absolutely.
And then further engage with the organization, going back to what we talked about, the true ROI,
That's right.
whether it's becoming a subscriber or a member or writing a check or whatever that is.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic story. I love it. So now I mean, the place that we find ourselves in with, and don't want to get political here, but let's just assess the environment, right?
Yeah.
Budget cuts,
Yep.
less funding. I think people generally, probably less private people, less inclined to be making charitable donations because things might be tight.
Hmm.
Um, where is the future funding coming for these nonprofits? What does the future look like for these nonprofits? And what can we as PR people do to be supporting them to make sure that they not only survive through this period, but then thrive into the future?
It's a great question. I don't have a crystal ball to know exactly where their next check is coming from, or that I truly like it. This is an era of uncertainty for everybody. I don't think the folks at the NEA know what's coming with their agency. I don't think the executive directors leading these organizations know what's coming. And I think philanthropists and foundations are really, I don't envy them. They have a lot of urgent calls for funding, right? Everything feels urgent now. And, I know in particular for arts and culture, though I think on a very human level, you don't have to explain to anyone the power and importance of music in our lives and storytelling in our lives. But in this particular climate, when everyone is scrambling for funding and you're going up against the food bank and like there is just a level of need and urgency that I don't think nonprofits have quite had to contend with in this way in a long time. So the role of PR people, we certainly can't know the future or which way the political winds are going to blow on any given day. But our role, and I think the way we've been counseling our clients, is how to communicate some steady leadership and stay true to your values while acknowledging that times are tough, right? And that times are uncertain. So a lot of the messaging has been, we may have had this funding cut, or COVID may have shuttered our doors, but we are still here. We are really excited to be presenting fill in the blank. You have, you're welcome here, and we remain steadfast in delivering programs that fill in the blank, right? Just that reminding of everyone what your mission and values are at this time is what folks want to hear, and kind of all you can do, really. I mean, PR can't solve everything.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And people love backing a strong horse, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people want to
Yes.
put their money, their support, and their time and their energy into things that they think are going to survive. And so I
Yes.
think you make a very good point there, that sort of reminding people of the strength of an organization and the commitment of an organization, and the impact that an organization has on the audience that it serves,
Yeah.
is probably the best way to tell stories. So, well, your nonprofit clients are very lucky to have you. Sounds like you do an amazing job for them. And
Thank you. I do want to say, I want to say, nonprofits, when budgets are tight, communications often feels like a luxury. If I can make any point, I would say this, right? You're trying to raise money, you're trying to deliver your programs, whether that's feeding the homeless or putting on a show, whatever it is, right? You got to deliver your programs and you got to raise money. Sometimes it seems like the budget is not there for PR, but if you are not telling your story, someone else will fill the vacuum. They'll either tell their story or they will get your story wrong, right? You cannot forsake communications at a moment like this, and you have to be out there. You need visibility, and we've had a lot of success with our clients. I mean, despite all of these challenges, right? Because this has gone kind of in a negative direction, but despite changes in audience behavior, despite some funding crises, public health crises, the political division in this country, the clients we have worked with, and I'm thinking of a few, I'm thinking of some exhibitions that we sold out within a week of opening, that surpassed ticket sale goals before opening day. I'm thinking about a theater company I worked with in the rural South, that our PR strategy helped them increase ticket sales from touristic audiences outside the state by over 40% in 3 years. PR works. Even traditional PR, even just earned media on your local news broadcast, in the print paper that you think no one reads anymore, it does still work, in addition to creative, savvy digital strategies. I just want to say we are still seeing success. There are people out there who want to spend time in community and see great art and support great art.
fantastic point to end on. Karin, thank you so much for sharing all this with us today.
Thank you.
We are not done yet with you, however. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Karin Venegas, let's begin with rapid fire question number 1. What is your favorite news source?
I mean, I'm traditional. I do read the New York Times every morning, and I do love listening to my public radio.
I think in your line of work, those are absolutely the ones you need to be at.
Yep.
Rapid fire question number 2. What's your favorite social media platform?
I like Instagram. I like the pictures.
Me too. Rapid fire question number 3. Coffee or alcohol?
Coffee, espresso.
And you're working in the New York City media market. It's high test all
You
the
need
time.
it. Yeah.
Rapid fire question number 4. What's your favorite on the run food?
Well, I'm a mother to a kid, so for me, it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm kind of in a perpetual state of making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and throwing them in my bags.
How old?
Does
How
the
old?
9.
Oh,
It's a
there you
great
go.
age.
Okay.
It's a
There
great
you go.
age. Yeah.
Awesome age. All right. Rapid fire question number 5. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Well, my career started as a kid in the theater. I did some acting in off Broadway theaters all around the city. I loved it. I miss it. I think in my final chapter I'll maybe find my way back to the stage.
Sounds good. Karin, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you online.
Yes, well, my firm, Anat, our website is anat, A-N-A-T, Gerstein, GERSTEIN.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Karin Venegas. There are not a lot of us. You can find me.
Sounds good. We will put all the links in the show notes. And thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Karin, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.